I was informed in the course of my official duties of a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
If you went on Twitter, or X this morning, I'd understand why you'd perhaps think the government just wheeled out the little green men. Drama Alert, for example, tweeted, "Breaking, UFOs are now confirmed to exist, and if you can't trust Keemstar, who can you trust in today's day and age?" The reality is obviously more complicated. I've got my own thoughts, which I want to share in today's video alongside a hopefully objective look at the situation. In short, the United States Congress held a hearing examining the testimony of, among others, David Grusch, a whistleblower in the intelligence community who has made some fairly incredible claims, including that the United States government has a secret retrieval program for crashed alien spaceships.
The UAP task force was refused access to a broad crash retrieval program.
When you say crash retrieval, what do you mean?
These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles,
Not only that, but apparently non-human intelligence has been confirmed by the US government, bodies have even perhaps been found, and there's a great conspiracy to muddy the waters and keep the public in the dark. Grusch first came forward through an exclusive interview on the US cable news network News Nation, but the reason why people have really been paying attention to him is, to be honest, because of his general air of credibility, his proven employment and high station within the US military intelligence community, and the support he's gotten from those within the US military and US politics. Today's hearing was arguably a culmination of several months worth of discussion, but more broadly is the most recent capstone on almost a century of discussion around UFOs, or as they're now usually styled, UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon. Later I'll talk about the resurgence of UAP discussion in the last 5 or 10 years, but I want to start this video at the heart of the matter, and that is Grusch's congressional testimony. Now, Grusch was not the only witness at today's hearing. There were 2 others. I'll tie them in later, but Grusch provided easily the most explosive testimony. However, to show my hand a bit, while the testimony was, I think, interesting, for me, it doesn't fundamentally change how I see the UFO phenomenon or the general presence of alien life on Earth, and that's because of 2 simple deficiencies in Grusch's testimony. The first is a concrete lack of details, and the second is the almost total reliance on hearsay. If you're listening to this video so far, you're probably thinking, okay, Grusch, he seems to be very reliable. If you watch interviews with him, including ones that I've linked down in the description, you'll see that he generally comes off as a very competent person. The issue with his claims is that they're almost all based on second-hand information
and civilian capacities. I was informed in the course of my official duties of a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program, to which I was denied access to those additional read-ons when I requested it.
You've stated that the government is in possession of potentially non-human spacecraft. Based on your experience and extensive conversations with experts, do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Okay, I can't ask when you think this occurred. If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
And was this documentary evidence, this video, photos, eyewitness? Like, how would that be determined?
The specific documentation I would have to talk to you in a skiff about.
Gotcha.
action. For example, Grusch's most basic statement, the one that underpins all others, is that the U.S. has a UFO UAP crash retrieval program where they're finding crashed spaceships and attempting to recover and maybe even reverse engineer the technology. The thing is, when he makes this statement, he doesn't say, this is what I witnessed. He says, people who I trust told me. It's a lot of, I was informed. I was informed that they recovered non-human entities on the craft. And I come at this hearing from someone who practiced law. The most important aspect of witness testimony is determining credibility. This is why we generally do not allow hearsay to serve as evidence, or if it is evidence, there are very strict rules around it. Now, many of you probably don't understand what hearsay is or how it differs from regular testimony. The general idea is that you cannot testify to the truth of something that you were told by another person, and that can get kind of complicated, so I'll use an example. Let's say Joe witnessed a hit and run where a red vehicle struck a parked car and drove away. He then tells a police officer. At trial, Joe can tell the court, hey, I saw a red vehicle strike a parked car. The cop can testify that Joe told him he saw that. The cop, however, cannot testify to the truth of Joe's statement. The cop, in Joe's absence, cannot testify to the truth of whether the red car hit the parked car or not, because it's not his firsthand information. Now, this is relevant for David Grusch, not because him giving the hearsay was in any way illegal, but because it's extremely difficult to analyze the truth of any hearsay-based statement. You can't determine the credibility of a witness who didn't see something. Grusch, I don't doubt, believes what he was told, and I don't doubt he was told those things. I find him credible in that regard. But he could have been lied to. There could be a cabal of UFO fanatics in the intelligence community who have lied to him. Or not. I'm personally not saying I don't believe David Grusch. What I'm saying is that I'm not yet convinced. And making matters, I'd say, more difficult is the fact that a lot of the information which could have been used to corroborate his testimony was apparently not appropriate for a public forum.
Regions, if you could just name anything. And I put that as an open question to the three of you.
I'd be happy to give you that in a closed environment. I can tell you specifically.
Thank you.
Can you give me the names and titles of the people with direct firsthand knowledge and access to some of this crash retrieval, some of these crash retrieval programs, and maybe which facilities, military bases the recovered material would be in? And I know a lot of Congress have talked about we're going to go to Area 51 and, and there's nothing there anymore anyway. It's just, and we move like a glacier. And as soon as we announce it, I'm sure the moving vans would pull up, but please.
I can't discuss that publicly, but I did provide that information both to the Intel committees and the Inspector General.
And we could get that in the SCIF if we were allowed to get in a SCIF with you. Would that be probably what you would think?
Sure, if you had the appropriate accesses, yeah.
Grusch was asked pointedly, okay, who can we ask who has direct knowledge? What were the names of these programs? Where are the craft stored? Many times he would say, listen, I know, but I can't tell you in a public forum. And legally, that makes sense. He had to get some of his testimony, even for this hearing, approved by certain whistleblower intelligence agencies. I don't know the specifics, but there is a mechanism for sharing that top secret information with Congress members who do have security clearance. So, despite my earlier, critiques of Grusch's testimony, the good thing about today's hearing is that it did offer a path forward. If Congress wants to follow up on the issue, they have to get Grusch to share that confidential information. Then they can use that to track down leads, subpoena other intelligence members, look into these programs, because alongside all of this is the idea that a lot of this UFO/UAP cover-up or reverse engineering comes alongside misappropriation of funds and sidestepping of legal frameworks. So again, while I'm somewhat critical of the hearing in that it didn't change my perspective, if there was going to be a first step, there is. And listen, I would love to have my mind changed. I believe in intelligent life outside of Earth. I personally, as I'll discuss in a minute, don't believe intelligent life has visited Earth, but I would love to be proven wrong. I went into today's hearing with an open mind, mind, and I would love to have new evidence that changes how I feel. The problem is, through all of today's hearing, there was really no direct evidence, even in the few cases where David Grusch alluded to him having direct knowledge of something. For example, when he said, who knows about the secret projects? He said he knows where the craft are, even that he had seen pictures of some of the craft and perhaps the bodies. There was no accompanying evidence. It was the ultimate trust me, bro. And the problem with that is, like I alluded to earlier, UFO phenomenon has been reported for nearly a century. And to this day, there's been no indisputable scientific proof. There are very strange things which are difficult to explain, and that was another part of today's hearing. There were two pilots who talked about their UAP experiences, some of which were leaked in 2017 and later released by the Pentagon in 2020, showing very, very strange aerial craft performing maneuvers that seem beyond human capabilities. My thing is, we've got a very weird situation. There seem to be two obvious answers. This is terrestrial technology, or this is technology beyond our Earth. Whether it's from an alien, a being from another dimension, as Grusch hinted at, or something else. Which explanation has less logical leaps? That this is an extremely advanced piece of technology which operates beyond what the pilots thought was possible, or perhaps scrambled their systems? Yet, even after traveling light years or dimensions, still routinely crashes on Earth, enough that we've got a reverse engineering program. No, that's sort of mixing testimony. Or that it's an unknown thing not created by humans. For me, and this is where you have to make your own judgment call, it's the former. I find it hard to believe that aliens could have been operating among us without any real scientific evidence being found, yet there being so many videos either shot by aircraft pilots, people on the ground, whatever. No evidence from SETI, no evidence from NASA, nothing whatsoever. But I'm a skeptic, not a denialist. If there is proof someday, I am open to it. I would love for non-hostile aliens to have visited Earth and for us to be reverse engineering their technology. Hey, that would be pretty cool. I bet you my quality of life might eventually see a massive jump once we figure stuff out, but extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And that's why I think today's UAP hearing isn't really moving the needle for the average person. We've heard about crazy things in the sky before. We've seen videos before. Often there's no explanation, and I think there is a bit of a jump of logic to assume that it's men in saucers, or interdimensional beings in saucers, or lizard people in saucers, or humans from the future in saucers. That being said, it is an exceptionally interesting situation. And if that's a jump you want to make, I don't think you're dumb. I personally am just not there yet. I've really enjoyed interacting with the UFO community over these past few weeks in preparation for the hearing. While I don't agree, I find them to be nice people, and the idea of coming together as humans behind something massive like extraterrestrial life is certainly a great one. And as I noted, there's a path forward here, and I didn't give every detail of Grusch's testimony. There are things that could happen that could validate pretty much everything he said, and to be true, aspects of his testimony were audited by the Inspector General before he became a whistleblower. But I mean, if this was true and the entire conspiracy has existed for however many years now, what's the chance that it even does break? But that's sort of getting way into the weeds here. I've given my thoughts. I think I've tried to present what happened today fairly objectively. You can let me know whether you're a true believer or not, what you thought of the testimony of Grusch and the others today. I know this is a different video for the channel, but I hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, be safe, have a good one, and may the Force be with you. I want to believe.